Hello, everybody. This is Frances Reeves, president of Parent Your Parents. We're so happy to have you here. As you know, I have an ongoing quest that we hear from everybody and their elder experiences. And today I am pleased to have with me Maria Cortez, who I met when she became a client. And Maria, that's been 2 years, I think,
It's
right?
about 2 years.
About 2 years.
Or more because we had the pandemic 2 years.
And this is
Maybe
before the
yeah,
pandemic.
that was before.
Yeah,
So
so
probably 3-4 years.
yes, and she met me because she needed some assistance with her husband, and then we've been friends ever since. It's been a journey for Maria, and through Maria, a journey for me. And what we share in common is both our husbands were diagnosed with dementia. Maria's much earlier. Uh, how long ago, Maria?
I was looking at my calendars the other day and I was surprised of finding out that there were signs that of course, I didn't recognize 20 years ago. 20 years ago. So
Wow.
20 years, he had these flashes, which I couldn't figure out what were the flashes about, but they would go away. So things like that happened often, just signs that I couldn't in my ignorance, I didn't realize what they were, but many years later, I was able to identify. So many, many years is a very silent, very, very silent disease or condition. And you have to, it kind of, you grow in it and you learn and you make mistakes and you become irate and you lose your temper and you don't understand, but you finally start getting it until it's done, but it is very, very slow.
Well, I met Michael, your husband,
Mhm.
and when I met him, I could tell that but that was only about 4 years ago. Was there ever a specific diagnosis of dementia from a doctor?
Something like low cognitive disorder or something like that.
A neurologist?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
neurologist, right?
We did my husband's through a psychiatrist. And what they did is they put him through a bunch of tests,
Yeah.
and there was plaque on the brain.
Okay.
And then, but it wasn't Alzheimer's, because Alzheimer's is a protein.
Yeah, the tau.
Yeah, the tau protein. And he didn't have enough to call it
Alzheimer's. Yeah, that part also is something that you have to deal with, and it's very frustrating. Is the doctors and the hospitals and the fact that they really are not very straightforward with you. They don't tell you the whole story. So
Isn't that the
you're
truth?
always coming into this situation blinded. In reality, side blinded, I think they say.
Blindsided.
Blindsided in English. In football. So that makes it very hard. I know that they did a lot of tests every time we went for an appointment. He was tested. But I wasn't able to go in with him, so I don't really know. But they did this electrode encephalogramma. And they, I think they did an MRI, but I can't
They
remember.
probably did an
They
MRI.
probably did
Yeah.
an MRI.
But that's where they see the plaque, I think.
Right, I think
is
so.
the MRI.
Yeah.
It's the PET scan where you see the tau proteins.
Oh, okay.
I only know this because of the fact that Tom's gone through it.
Yeah, but it's
But Maria, let's go back to you.
okay.
And that was Gerald, our producer. I don't know if you saw those cute brunette locks. We love Gerald. He's new, and thank you, Gerald. Thank you so much for taking care of us up here. So how was it for you? Let's go into
get back in time. You mean?
Yeah, not 20 years, but like when you were first told there is a cognitive
deficiency or whatever. no idea what I was getting into, because in reality, what I saw of him was he was a very sociable person, very sociable. Everybody knew him in the building, in the condominium where we live in Key Biscayne. Everybody. It was Mike and Tippy, Tippy and Mike. Where's Tippy? Where's Mike? And he would always make conversation, no matter with whom, with the kids, with the older people, in Spanish, in English. He didn't speak any Spanish, but he would still communicate with them. So in reality, that kind of camouflaged a little bit of the situation for me. I said, well, it must not be so bad, because he's still acting normal, and he's still, but the acting abnormal came in other ways, in ways where he couldn't hold a job, and I wasn't sure why. He would tell me a story, and I really didn't know if it was true or not. um, um, Things like that. Other things that you start learning from the very beginning, where he would walk behind me and I would get kind of like annoyed. Why doesn't he walk right next to me? I like to walk in the afternoons, and I am pretty good at walking. In fact, I walk a little bit too fast. So he didn't like that, but still, he would walk behind me. And then I found out that people with dementia, they see the focus they have is straightforward, not anything on the sides. So that's why he needed to have me in front so that he could see me. And I didn't know. I didn't know those things. So, it was all a learning experience, very slow learning experience.
And when did you finally realize that this is the way it was going to be?
Well, I started. He For a while, for a long while, he was going to the community center in Key Biscayne, and that was a great help, because
Mhm.
these patients need a lot of social life, a lot of interaction with people. And where he would get it was at the community center. And people knew him there, and they were very sweet and nice with him. They knew what he had. So every time he repeated something or he showed his rings, his championship rings, they would all realize what was going on. But I, in the
Really nice.
meantime, I was working, and I was working. My lab was in Hollywood. So my days were a little bit long. By the time I got home, by the time I would start making dinner and all that stuff, well, the day was over and I wasn't able to see him that much.
Mhm.
So, but when it started really affecting me was when I realized that I couldn't leave him by himself, that he would walk out to the hall in the floor that we live in, the apartment building that we live. And that started to make me a little bit nervous, because he would knock at other people's doors. He would go into other people's apartments, and I said to myself, "Oh no, this is not right. This is something is not right." So I realized that I had to retire. I was 70 years old at that moment, and I love my job. I really did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of meetings, and I really enjoyed it. It was a research manager job that I liked very much. So when I retired, I kind of took it upon myself in accepting the fact that it was another stage in my life. So you have to take life like in stages, and that was another stage, and I had to get used to it, and I had to organize myself and see how. But always thinking I have to be happy. I have to continue doing what I like, going to the movies. Uh, until I realized that Mike didn't understand any of the movies that we were going to, that he wasn't able to pay any attention. And so it grows on you. It just, and it starts to what is the word, to
Irritate? Oh,
diminish
diminish.
your energy, your attitude, your outlook, because you start seeing, oh my god, what, I don't have a companion, I don't have somebody to go to the movies with, because they don't have any memory, they can't tell me what the movie was about. So or if you go out for dinner, they don't know, they can't remember where they went or what they ate. So it became more challenging and more difficult until I realized that I needed more help. Because of course the pandemic came, and with the pandemic, he couldn't go back to the community center because they
They
closed down.
closed. Yeah.
So in that was the beginning of the end. The fact that he wasn't able to go somewhere, he was able to call these little freebie cards in Key Biscayne by himself. He was able to have a little bit of independence, and he was proud of it, I think. Um, but so when the moment came that he couldn't go to the community center and he had to stay home, and he had to be sitting right next to me, and I would be doing work, or I'd be busy reading the newspaper or a book or something, he was lost. He
Yeah.
was totally lost. So
You know, I'm lucky, and here's how I'm lucky. Tom's just had the diagnosis a little over a year now. But I've seen a progression. I've definitely
mhm,
seen not
mhm.
a progression, a regression. I mean, he is definitely, I hear a lot of the same things Michael was going through. But where I'm lucky is we live in a condominium complex
Right,
of 4
right.
condominiums and a lot of land.
Hmm.
And Key Biscayne alone is a nice
Right.
island.
Yes.
And so as a consequence, when Tom actually goes out, I don't worry about him getting lost because too
People
many
know
people
him.
know
No,
him.
they know him, and people react,
Right.
and
And
people
they're
have.
always so good to him. I
Yeah,
have to say, humanity for the most part is really good.
that's true. That's true.
And Tom will come back to the condo and I'll be in the office. And I mean, that's a little upsetting. He just comes into the office. I can't tell you how many Zoom calls he just
Yeah.
walks right by.
Yeah.
I,
Because,
sometimes when I'm doing a court hearing on Zoom, I put on the door to the office in court,
uh-huh.
right? And I lock it. And
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
hear
yeah,
him going like
yeah,
this. And
yeah,
it's like, excuse me for a minute. And then I blank myself out and I have to explain it
yeah.
to him.
But they don't
But
understand.
they
They
don't.
don't
They
understand.
don't
I
understand.
things that, as much as they don't understand, we don't understand. We don't understand. We think, okay, let me write little pieces of paper and put them on the mirror, in
It
the
doesn't work.
and it doesn't work. It
It
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work.
Let me close the door and put a big sign on the door: don't forget your mask, or don't forget your phone, or don't forget your keys. They don't read it.
Well,
They
and even if they do, this is what I've realized. And I realized this with my mother as well. What I realize is it's a minute. In other words, you can say, like, they'll be going out the door, and you can say, Tom, you have an account there. You don't need your credit card. Okay. And then I hear him telling the dog as he's going out, don't worry, Darla, we've got a credit card. I'm like, okay,
uh,
okay. And with mother, and this was a pivotal moment because mom was in a nursing home. She too had, I think it was vascular dementia, not Alzheimer's. She never forgot who I was. And every time I left her, every time I left her, I just felt so horribly guilty. And then one time I left her and then I went out to the car and then I remembered that I had to do one more thing in there. And I went back in and I said, oh, mom, I forgot. She goes, oh, it's so good. And it was like all over, like she totally
totally.
forgotten that I was even there. So, in fact, what we do for our dementia husbands and parents is for us, because for them, as long as they don't have to change their routine too much.
Exactly. And that's where the big problem comes when they have to change their environment and their routine. That's when it gets very tricky, painful, confusing, and very, really bad.
And I also remember with you, Maria, this is after I'd been hired, you were having a very difficult time finding people who were reliable.
Oh, no, people that spoke English, people that would go to Key Biscayne. People didn't want to go to Key Biscayne because it was too far or because they had to pay the toll. So these people, caregivers, are paid very little, and they are understaffed in these places, and so they don't want to go the extra mile in reality. Finally, we found a girl that was able to speak English. He was from South Dakota, and every girl that came spoke only Spanish. And that was, I mean, if the idea was to socialize, he couldn't socialize. I mean, he couldn't communicate to this person.
Right.
So that made it very hard, because after he was accepted by Medicaid, and we were able to get some help, but we weren't.
Right. You had Medicaid in the house. In other words, you had what we call a Medicaid waiver.
Okay, right.
So that
we were
Medicaid
would pay for those services. Okay, but the fact was that that it lasted 3-4 months before we were able to get anybody that could come.
No, and part of that is the Medicaid payment system, because they don't pay them very much.
No, they don't.
And now, Maria, you're not going to like what I'm going to say now. During this time, I said to Maria, you have to put him somewhere. You're over 70, and you're the one who's really going to stress out. There's a good chance. I mean, this happens often with love caretakers, like if it's your mom, your dad, your spouse, your child. The caretaker goes under so much stress.
That's so much stress.
And I watched Maria go through it, and I kept telling her, and she would say to me, and my husband's not this lucky. She would say to me, in my culture, this is what I have to do, because you're from Colombia.
Yes, I'm from Colombia.
In my culture, this is what you have to do. In my culture, this is what you have to do. And it didn't matter what I said. I'd invite her. Sometimes we could sneak away for 30-minute coffees, right, on a dog walk. But we could never sneak away for a glass of wine, because that takes longer. but he finally got so tough that you started looking for places that accepted Medicaid, correct?
Exactly. And that is also another chapter that is not easy to navigate. Again, the issue of English. Well, in Miami, all the nursing homes, all the memory cares, all the assisted living facilities, they all have Spanish-speaking people.
Or Haitian.
Or Haitian, right? A lot of Haitian.
Right.
So we started looking with my sister, taking advantage of the fact that we had the girl from Medicaid, and she was, every time she walked in the apartment, we would jump out of the apartment and go looking for places. Places that we called, places that had been that had told us that. No, I can't.
Was it difficult to find? What do you mean, Gerald?
I think that's in, I think they're referring to the nursing home.
Oh, it's a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Was it difficult to find? Are they referring to the nursing home? It's not difficult to find them. What's difficult?
No, they're all over. It is the greatest business in the whole wide world. These people must be doing gazillion amount of money.
There's a lot of money to be made in it,
because they're private,
and it is so difficult to put a loved one in the facility. It is. It absolutely is. It was the hardest day of my life with my mother. And what about you, Maria?
Yes, since we went through this process of us, my sister and I, I was so lucky to have my sister helping me. And she has been a great instrument tool for me to be as well as I feel like it today. And I'll tell this last chapter a little bit later. But anyway, we were looking with her, and we found this assisting living facility where the director came to the apartment, did a one-on-one, because they have to do a one-on-one assessment to see if they are indeed capable of being by themselves, or getting dressed, or going to the bathroom,
just
or
to
whatever.
evaluate them.
Exactly, to evaluate them. She said he was fine, he was perfect, for this place. So very happily we made all the arrangements. We got him a TV, we got him a, we did everything
You
for
did everything, and then tell him what happened.
and then we dropped him off. It was the anniversary of our wedding. We had gotten married in Bogota, Colombia, the 15th of April.
That's okay.
Marzo,
Go ahead.
whatever.
But it was the anniversary.
Right. It was the anniversary. So we dropped him off that afternoon, like at 4:00 in the afternoon, 5:00 in the afternoon. By 10 o'clock in the morning, the following day, 10 o'clock in the morning, the director, who is another person that I have never seen before, calls me irate, screaming at me, telling me that I have to come and pick him up right now. Otherwise, they were going to Baker Act him. And I was in panic. I said, I can't. I mean, I cannot go and pick him up. First of all, because I don't have a van. Second, because it is 1 hour from where I am. And third, because I can't bring him home. So they decided to, they gave me 30 more days at the assisted living facility and to look for something else. And in the meantime, they took him down to a memory care facility, which was a couple of blocks, a sister facility. They always have a sister facility, which I didn't realize that. But that's something that happens very often. The nursing home or the assisted living facility has a memory care. And that is for patients that are have advanced pretty badly
Dementia.
in the dementia.
And let me stop you here. A nursing home and memory care are pretty much the same thing. In other words, here's how it works. There's an assisted living facility, and that's, for the most part, people who need some assistance living.
In the daily activities of living.
Right. You need two have to be missing. And then there's a memory care unit, which is basically a nursing home with a nicer surrounding.
That's not how it happened.
But what I'm telling you is that's how
that
it is.
That is how it generally.
Because a nursing home is all Medicaid. You don't have
that is true.
Right.
That happened. Yeah.
Right.
They paid for
what
everything.
happened with Mike was these people who said he's fine, he'll be fine. Then they took him down to their sister. And they called it a memory care unit?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was a memory care unit. It was a secured memory care.
Right. And they have to be
locked. They are locked, so they cannot walk out. They cannot.
Right. Although my mother did.
Yeah.
She pulled the alarm. Yeah. Charlotte, you couldn't keep her in a memory care unit.
So they decided after that memory care, which was very depressing because, of course,
because
again,
everybody there,
the people there are very sick. One wasn't able to talk at all. Do I recommend any good facilities?
Miami Jewish is what I always say.
Miami Jewish.
But listen, whoever's asking these questions, there are people who will help you. And if you want to contact Parent Your Parents at info@parentyourparents.com, it'll be my pleasure to put you in touch with a great group called Welcome Home. And they will come find out what your needs are. And they will tell you, the president, Faith Banclair, is fabulous at finding out what you need. So it is easy, and it doesn't cost you a thing.
See, so
we got Michael out.
We got him into the memory care. Then from there, they decided that he needed to go to a different memory care, which was an hour away from the little town that he was at. He was at Charleston, Illinois, where his daughter lived. His grandsons lived as well. Two grandsons lived there, and he used to be the athletic director at the University of Illinois. So people knew him, and they knew his daughter's children. And so he was in a place where he was very comfortable. But they decided from the memory care in Charleston, they decided to move him to another memory care down the road, an hour away. And that was okay. That was okay, but the same. They are very short staff. It's difficult. They don't have enough people. They don't
Well,
have enough people.
And let me say this about the best assisted living facility in the United States of America. And I don't know which one that is. I don't know if they have a magazine that chooses them.
I don't
But
know.
the best one is still only okay. I have several clients in assisted living facilities, in memory care, and they're only okay.
Some people adapt to it very well. Others do not.
Right.
Depending on their personality, depending on their needs,
That's
depending
correct.
on the facility itself. It's a very personal issue. You have to go, you have to meet the people, they have to meet
You do. You have to
your
smell.
husband. You have to be there when they are when they're having dinner or lunch. But with this COVID, they wouldn't let us go in, they wouldn't let us visit him just from outside a window, and it was really hard. It was really hard for him, and it was really hard for me as well.
And Maria, just because we're running out of time,
Okay. Okay.
Michael died.
Yes.
Right.
He passed.
He passed.
And I was on my way there almost. I had a ticket bought and everything, but they called me. I was at the park, and they said he just passed 10 minutes ago. So that was pretty difficult because that was pretty hard.
Well, it's difficult.
It is. It
Period.
is difficult. I had my grandchildren here, and they were. I was busy with them, and I didn't have the time to just pick up and go. And then
Go ahead.
So then I realized, okay, I have to get back my life. How is it going to change? This is going to change. It's going to change very much. What am I going to do? So I continue walking, which is something that I like. I have a little dog, a Yorkie, and I go walking every afternoon. And as I was walking in the afternoon, I felt my left hand, my ring finger and my small finger going numb. And I kind of wiggled my hand a little bit, and it went away. And I said to myself, this is kind of strange. Very strange. So I continue walking, and I continue the following days, and that same feeling would come back again. And I said, okay, I have to document how often this happens, and how frequent, and how long does it last. And when more or less I had that idea, I called my primary physician, and well, first the feeling, not only where it was in my fingers, but it came up my eye, my left eye. And I said, oh no, I have to check with somebody. So I checked with my doctor, with my primary physician, and he said, you go to an emergency room right away, immediately, to the closest you have. So I did. I went to Mercy Hospital. They did a CAT scan, and they did an MRI. They did a CAT scan, and they saw that I had a tumor in my brain. So they did an MRI with and without contrast, and immediately they knew that I had a stage 4 glioblastoma, which is one of the most aggressive tumors that we have in this cancer story of mankind. And yeah, I mean, I was 1 month, the 15th of, he died the 15th of July, the 15th of August, I was diagnosed with my brain tumor. I had surgery 2 days later, and 3 days later I was home. And 4 days later, I was, no, 3 days later, when I got home, I was out walking and I am out traveling and I am out doing the stuff that I like. And I have a different perspective of life. I have to say, I have a different perspective.
And Maria, of course, I've watched you go through this, and there's a little bit more to I mean, because it's a chronic at this point, it's somewhat chronic. You go 5 weeks, 5 days of chemo,
Right.
5 weeks off, 5 days, 5 weeks off,
Right.
correct?
That's where I am right now.
Which is fine. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
We
I
can
went-
have a glass of wine now.
Yeah. Well, in reality, not really, because with that type of chemo, you cannot have any alcohol. But I sneaked in some of the a cup of wine, a glass of wine once in a while, just to celebrate.
So Maria, we're going to have you back
Oh, okay.
to discuss. We are going to have you back to discuss. And this is what I've always wondered. Did the cancer come because of the stress? Was
Me
that
too? I was wondering that too.
I mean, in
I
other
was
words,
wondering that
and
too.
I'm going to end on this. I feel very strongly that, and Maria knows this, and it was her culture, but I feel very strongly that I have a life to live, and that I, with my husband, of course, right now, it's simple to manage. But he does not have long-term care. And anyone who knows me knows I think we all need long-term care. But nevertheless, when it comes to the point where I can't leave him alone anymore, Tom will have to go elsewhere. And as horrible as that sounds, I watched Maria just all of the stress involved. But the good news is it's a happy ending.
It's a happy ending, yes.
And I want to thank you so very much for
You're
coming.
welcome. It was a pleasure.
And we're
Thank you
gonna
for inviting me.
and we're going to have you back
Okay.
to talk about the rest of your life.
Okay. Okay.
And
okay.
again, I'm Frances
Gladly.
Reeves, president of Parent Your Parents. This is the Parent Your Parents show. And you can always reach me at